What if I told you that the secret to building a billion-dollar business isn't some ruthless, cutthroat corporate strategy, but, well, something as simple as happiness? Dear book lovers, welcome to another insight-packed book summary episode of Summarypedia. We are here to bring you more titles in less time. In this episode, we are going to explore the important and highly practical lessons from the book Delivering Happiness by Tony Hsieh. Now, this is a journey that completely shatters the old-school idea that profits and happiness are mutually exclusive. So whether you're a business leader trying to scale, a creator, or just a professional searching for a bit more fulfillment in your day-to-day, you are going to benefit massively from the practical insights we're about to unpack here.
Here's the roadmap for our explainer today. First, we'll look at the ultimate goal, happiness. Second, the Zappos culture engine. Third, some counterintuitive business lessons. Fourth, the frameworks of happiness. Fifth, the architect behind it all, Tony Hsieh. And finally, number 6, a blueprint for delivering happiness.
All right, let's dive right into part 1, the ultimate goal, happiness.
Let's kick things off with a little thought exercise. Why do you actually want to achieve your life goals? Seriously, think about your biggest ambition right now. Maybe you want to grow a massive company, snag that huge promotion, or, I don't know, train to run a faster marathon. Whatever it is, you've got to ask yourself, why? And this brings us to the why chain. It brilliantly illustrates what happens when you just keep asking that one simple question. Let's say your goal is to grow a company. Okay, why do you want to do that? Well, maybe so you can retire early. All right, why do you want to retire early? To spend more time with your family. And why is that? Because deep down, you believe that will ultimately make you happier. See, every single goal you have, getting healthier, making bank, finding your soulmate, it all funnels down to the exact same shared human pursuit, happiness. The author realized something profound here. If happiness is literally the ultimate goal of life, well, shouldn't we be studying the actual science of it? And more importantly, applying it directly to our lives and our businesses?
Which leads us perfectly into part 2, the Zappos culture engine.
So how exactly do you translate the science of happiness into the corporate grind? Enter Zappos. This is an online shoe and clothing retailer that exploded from almost nothing to over $1 billion in annual sales. And their secret? They basically hardwired happiness into their culture engine. They didn't just slap a bland corporate mission statement on the wall and call it a day. No, they built 10 highly specific, committable core values. Some of my absolute favorites: deliver wow through service, create fun and a little weirdness, and do more with less. At Zappos, these aren't just empty buzzwords. They are actionable principles that employees live and breathe every single day. They literally base their performance reviews and hiring decisions on these exact values. It's not just a fancy plaque in the lobby, guys. It is the fundamental engine driving their massive financial success.
Now let's look at part 3, counterintuitive business lessons.
To build and fiercely protect that culture, Tony Hsieh had to make some seriously unconventional strategic choices, especially when it came to customer service. Think about a traditional call center. They hide their 1-800 numbers, force their reps to read from these rigid robotic scripts, and obsessively measure average call times just to shave off a few cents. Zappos? They do the exact opposite. Their 1-800 number is proudly plastered right at the top of every single web page. They use absolutely zero scripts, they refuse to measure call times, and their entire 24/7 focus is on delivering wow. They don't look at a customer phone call as an annoying expense. They see it as a long-term investment in building a legendary brand.
And the absolute key here is employee empowerment. Just to show you how far they take this, there's this mind-blowing anecdote in the book. A customer once called Zappos late at night. But here's the catch. They weren't even looking for shoes. They were staying at a hotel and basically jokingly asked the rep to help them find a late-night pizza delivery. Now, any normal call center would have hung up on them in a heartbeat, right? But the Zappos rep didn't. Instead, she puts the caller on hold, literally looks up 5 local pizza places in Santa Monica that were still open, and gives them the options. That is incredible. It proves the absolute power of trusting your unscripted representatives to just be, well, helpful, empathetic humans. By going rogue and delivering happiness, they created a loyal customer for life.
All right, moving on to part 4, the frameworks of happiness.
So this all sounds amazing in theory, but how do you actually systematize happiness in a real business? Well, the first essential framework breaks happiness down into 4 core elements: perceived control, perceived progress, connectedness, and vision. Zappos takes these and practically applies them to their workforce.
Take perceived control, for example. Instead of giving call center reps one standard, boring annual raise that they have absolutely zero control over, Zappos rolled out a skill sets system. Employees get to choose which skills they want to learn, and by doing so, they literally control their own pay bumps. That's perceived control in action. And for perceived progress, instead of making someone wait 18 grueling months for one major promotion, they chopped it up into smaller, incremental mini promotions every 6 months. It gives the team this constant, addictive sense of momentum.
And you know, this ties beautifully into another framework, Chip Conley's business adaptation of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So once basic physiological and safety needs are met down at the bottom, human beings inherently crave belonging, esteem, and finally self-actualization at the very top. This applies to both your customers and your employees. For a customer, just sending them the right pair of shoes, that merely meets their baseline expectations. Giving them free shipping? Okay, now you're meeting their desires. But delivering on a completely unrecognized need, like when Zappos randomly surprises a customer with a free upgrade to overnight shipping, boom, that hits the very top of the pyramid. That is how you create true emotional connection and a feeling of self-actualization.
Then we get to the 3 types of happiness. And honestly, this is a total game changer. Most of us spend our entire lives endlessly chasing pleasure. Chasing that next dopamine hit, buying the newest shiny gadget. But the research is super clear. It's the shortest lasting type of happiness. Next up is passion, which is that awesome state of flow where you're so fully engaged that time just melts away. But the absolute longest lasting happiness? That is higher purpose. It's the feeling of being part of something so much bigger than yourself. Now, here's the counterintuitive truth. We almost always chase pleasure first. But we've got it backwards. We should actually be figuring out and chasing our higher purpose first. Once we have that, we layer passion right on top of it. And then finally, sprinkle in the pleasure.
Let's shift gears to part 5, the architect, Hsieh.
To truly grasp the weight of these frameworks, we really need to look at the guy who put them together, Hsieh. He wasn't just some armchair theorist. Check out his entrepreneurial evolution. At age 9, he started a worm farm in his backyard, which totally failed, but his drive? Unstoppable. Fast forward to 1998, he co-founded a company called Link Exchange and sold it to Microsoft for a staggering $265 million. Then, in 1999, he invested in Zappos when it was barely more than a fragile idea, and by 2009, he had scaled it so massively through company culture that Amazon swept in and acquired Zappos for $1.2 billion. Tony's perspective is invaluable because he didn't just read about this stuff. He battle-tested these exact happiness frameworks in some of the most high-stakes, pressure-cooker business environments you can imagine. And clearly, they worked.
When that massive Amazon deal went through, he reflected on the whole journey. He wrote, "Together, we had built a business that combined profits, passion, and purpose. It was about building a lifestyle that was about delivering happiness to everyone." Think about that. Even with over $1 billion sitting on the table, he proved that for him, it was always about the shared purpose and the culture. It was never just about cashing out. And that brings us to our final section, Part 6, Blueprint for Delivering Happiness. All right, we have covered a ton of ground today, so let's neatly pack all these concepts into a clean, actionable blueprint you can take with you. Number 1, always focus on the ultimate goal, happiness for yourself, your employees, and your customers. 2, treat your company culture as your brand because really, they're just 2 sides of the same coin. 3, don't be afraid to embrace counterintuitive long-term investments, like letting your customer service reps go completely off script. 4, actually apply the science of happiness to your daily operations, leveraging things like perceived progress and connectedness. And 5, always pursue your higher purpose first to guarantee long-lasting fulfillment.
I want to leave you with this incredibly provocative question straight from the book. Think deeply about this. What is the net effect of your existence on the total amount of happiness in the world each day? Just imagine how you can apply these frameworks we've unpacked to elevate that equation for yourself, your team, and everyone around you. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more impactful book summaries from Summarypedia.